my mission has always been to let people know you are the ones that can heal yourself. We are the
Yes.
ones that choose to heal ourselves. We have the power to heal ourselves, and therefore don't give away that power to anyone. So the
Right.
hypnotherapy, and so that's the three bases of the therapies. But then I was very lucky to be born into a world where a lot of discovery was happening with the brain and the elasticity of the brain. And so then we had the brainwave entrainment that came in, and I was overjoyed because this now I had a plethora of tools and techniques from these four areas to be able to work with folks and pass on the knowledge. I did that by just really embedding myself into different situations. As an activist since the 70s, I had to transform myself from being too emotionally connected
Yeah.
so that I would not be able to control my feelings. In spite
Right.
of if I said something that was controversial, how could I control myself not to overreact or underreact and so forth, or react in a negative way? I wanted to always be part of the solution, not the problem.
Oh, thank you once again for joining me on Inspire. It's a blessing to be here again. Thank you for tuning on Inspire. I have lovely, lovely ladies here. Today you're gonna be inspired. Honestly, I have Miriam, she's going to introduce herself. I have Dr. Jennifer. You know, today it's about mindset transformation and just stay tuned. So, who do I start with?
Dr.
Dr.
Jennifer,
Jennifer?
yes,
Yes.
the
Now,
founder,
why you have to start with me first? That's
because
not fair.
this was in your mind, okay?
Okay, all right. So
And
you
then
read
all
my
of a
mind.
sudden we
Okay.
joined my mind. So let's go.
Let it flow. You're gonna do the introduction, Miriam.
Okay, well, Sister Emertha, I will do the introduction. I am introducing to you one of the most inspirational people and women that I have met in my life.
Okay.
And the reason for this is every time we've met over the course of our lifespan, which is probably
30 years.
times 30 years, we have always just met and gone along a similar path and learned that while we were not together, we were still constructing the similar path. So Dr. Jennifer Richards, we have in front of us, is now the founder of an organization called the Lioness Circle Family Talk International, Inc. And this organization, of which I am now also a director, we are finding ways to help others transform their minds and get themselves to the best of themselves. And and Dr. Jennifer is excellent for this because this has been her lifelong work, working with children, young children, teenagers, the youth, always inspiring them to not to forget the hurts and forget the traumas and forget the anxieties and to blossom as they were from their childhood. And she has actually 2 years ago this year been awarded with a Lifetime Achievement Award. And this is an amazing award, and it is very apt for her because she continues every day, every evening, every night to do the work and to be
Which is
inspired and
AM.
motivated to do that. So I introduce her to you, and as we talk, you will see all that she is.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
And
goodness.
you see-
Thank you so much. I didn't know that you fancied the things that I was doing so much.
Yes, yes.
Now it's my turn because we complement each other. Now, in
Yes.
front of you, you have Miriam Modera, beautiful dancer, singer. I don't know if you sing or not, but talk about
Humming.
talk about the mind of God connection.
Mhm.
Sometimes I don't even have to talk to her. She's calling to tell me exactly what I was thinking about. That's the kind of relationship we're having.
Yes.
And she is so good at what she does because she gets to take people back to the place where I am starting the people, from the little people
Mhm.
to the old people. That's what I've worked with. And now she's taking that mission where she does hypnotherapy to go to the places that we have to go to find the damaged goods.
Yes.
So this is where we complement each other and we're not overlapping each other, you know? So the important thing is that we have to stay connected to the main source of energy, which is our divine creator. And that's where we position our minds in order to be able to help people to find their way back to, you know, a mindset that is more conducive to receiving information from God, the mind of God. That's the source that we attach ourselves to. Yes, my dear. So that's the information we have to give you right now. What do you have to ask us?
Really know each other so well. I love how you introduce each other. I've
No,
never
we're
seen
like sisters, you know, we're like-minded sisters.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. From day one, we met each other and we don't stop talking.
And laughing, too much laughter. Every time we get on the phone, we're just laughing, even at our own calamities,
Yes, absolutely.
especially about our challenges that we have,
Yes,
you know. So that's what has helped us to maintain sanity so far.
that's it.
excellent. You know, I was so much touched by the word transformation or mindset transformation.
Mhm.
It sounds very rich, but I would really love to know what it is about. What is mindset transformation about, and how does it work?
Mhm. Sister Jennifer, I'm going to let you start and I'm going to add on to whatever.
Okay, mind transformation. Let me address why we want to go there, because our people are in a very, very, I would say, crisis mode right now. All over the globe, our families, the Black families, especially, I'm talking all families, but the Black family from Africa to the Caribbean to every place, we are experiencing the same trauma, pain, and not being able to get along with each other. Now is to go back to the original information that we got from the divinity of man. From the beginning, all the words are there. Even if we're writing books or anything, we still have to make reference to the source, the main source. And once we are disconnected from that source, which has instructed us that we should renew our minds daily. The
Mhm.
renewal of the mind, it's in the scriptures. We cannot divert from that. If we don't try to get rid of the toxic information that we collect every day and how we view things, we continue from birth until death, because most of it starts at the cradle level. And this is where I function best, because studying the human development, you can see where things started When you visit the children's centers or the early childhood years, you will see all the things that can be fixed or
Right.
can be messed up.
Yes.
So our children are the most valuable thing, people on the planet right now. And yet still, parents need to be instructed how to bring children up the right way, or this is what we're dealing with now, damaged people, because they grew and they became, and now they're expressing who they are. And the only way we can express the mind of God is to become Christ-like, because he's the
Yes.
teacher, he's the way shower. He came, but the word Christianity has caused a lot of problems for all mankind, because we don't really know where it got started or where it's going to end, because Christ himself was a great teacher. And I don't remember him talking about any religion. I don't remember him connected to any situations where the gospel was mentioned, because he is the Christ. And because he is the Christ and still reigns, all the teachings that he gave us, he said we can become like gods, because he came from God. And he taught
Yeah.
us all the things we needed to learn to be able to appreciate who God is. And God is unlimited potential in man and woman. So we are here to express who God is. And when we're not doing that, you know who we're expressing, okay? The low source, the lower source. And this is where we're dealing at that level now, to bring people to a higher level of consciousness. And that's where Miriam and myself can attest to what we have to do. But we don't know that it will, have any impact on anyone if they're not really trying to climb or to
Elevate. Yeah.
elevate or vibrate to that level. And this language I'm speaking is the connection that we have with God is a spiritual connection. And when you mention the word spiritual, people get all freaked out. And this is what we have to explain, that the only transformation that can be done is through the spirit that is connected to the mind of God.
Yeah.
So I hope I'm not offending anyone that is deeply rooted in the church, because that's where all the confusion starts, right? And we don't even know what we're expressing right now, because we don't know exactly what it is that we should believe. And that is my contention right now. I'll turn you over to Miriam.
Okay.
Before Miriam joins in, when you talk about transformation, and I'm just wondering who exactly needs transformation and based on what? Because you are dealing with young people trying to transform their mindset.
Mhm.
From my understanding, we carry on what our parents gave us
Mm-hmm.
from generation to generation, whether it
Yes.
is culture, whether it is language that we speak, the kind of food we eat,
Hmm.
our spending behaviors, everything that we do, somehow we've copied it from somewhere. We
Yeah.
don't know who is the creator of those behaviors, honestly, but we carry on from generation to generation and passing on to our children. So
Yes.
when you see that, who needs transformation really, and what kind of tools do you have to make sure that that transformation is real? Miriam, maybe you can go on if you
Yes.
wanna. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Miriam's turn. Yes.
Okay. Good. Thank you. The transformation is everyone. As soon
Yes.
as we are old enough to understand that we have the power to change ourselves, we have the
Right.
power to choose between what we want to do and what we choose not to do.
Hmm.
And as soon as we are old enough to do that, then it is necessary that we are taught this. And that teaching is what has been kept from us, especially in the Western world. There are other cultures in Africa, in China, in India, in South America, the Aboriginal cultures that still teach young children to be able to connect with themselves. However, this is something that we have to really expand on and enlarge the information for everyone, very particularly for parents,
Yes.
because the minds of young children are very, very susceptible. Young children live in a state of theta. And when I say theta, I'm talking about the vibration, the brain wave level of the brain. And at theta state, we are very, very susceptible to what we hear, see, are told, and experience. In fact, as adults, we move into beta state. And if we are very focused and determined, we can really move between beta state and alpha state. And as adults, in order for us to relearn, to move away pains and the traumas and so forth, we have to
Yes.
enter theta state again. And it's very interesting because in all of the scriptures, in all of the holy books, in the ancient writings, it
Mm-hmm.
talks about the child and the mind of the child, and that the mind of the child is the one that is most accessible to the mind of God,
Yeah, the
or
inner
the
child.
most, the highest creation. So this is it. Transformation is our daily duty to ourselves, just like we have to daily really think about what it is we're eating. Are we eating for in order for our bodies to grow and to be healthy and vibrant? Or are we eating because we are trying to comfort ourselves because we are in pain and living a life of suffering? Um, Also, in terms of our mental health, are we thinking properly? Are we having good feelings emotionally? If on a daily basis we are taught, even from young children, to tap into that, then that becomes part of our custom. And what happens in our brain, we now have some wonderful neural pathways built that the brain tells us every day, okay, check this and check that. Is this good for you? Is this good? And that's our inspiration. That's what we call the third eye inspiration that comes to us that we can do naturally. So we're not as dependent on being told who we are
Mm-hmm.
and how we should feel and what we should say. Because we now live in a world where there are 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds who are starting their own business because
Mm-hmm.
their parents talked to them and taught them as though they were full beings, not mere children. Their
That's right.
minds are fully developed. So we relate to them in this way. We still are there to take care of them and comfort them and guide them. However, we need to be refreshing ourselves and
Oh,
transforming ourselves every day
yes.
to ensure that what we are, the scripts that we are giving them, are coming from a basis of truth and not from institutions that are founded on a lot of mistruths, as our educational institutions are, as our religious institutions are, as our political institutions are, as our social institutions are. And I am happy and thankful to live in a world right now that, because of, in spite of COVID and pandemic and
Mm-hmm.
everything, we are finally at a point where there's a spotlight on what is going on, and everybody can get into the discussions, and we can get the ideas and the discussions on the table and build from there.
Yes.
Yeah. So if I understand you very well, mindset transformation is not based on any religion. It's about more of self-awareness
Mhm.
and
Exactly.
more of doing the
Neuropath.
right thing. Yes. You mentioned even what we eat, what we do, the kind of lifestyle we live. So
That's right.
that kind of, yeah. So that what really makes us change or transform our mind. But then what are the tools that that we need to make sure that we transform our mind and setting those goals? What do you, for example, if I want to achieve goal from A to Z or from A to B, for example, tell me how do I plan my journey towards
Mm, mm,
towards that state that I want to achieve, and what tool do I need? Because we all want to develop, we want to do better and better in life. So yeah, just
that's
a bit of tool. What can I do?
Sister Jennifer, I will let you answer that in
Oh
terms
my
of
goodness. I thought you,
your focus of
that's,
trauma therapy and also working with the minds of young children, and then I can address it in terms of working with um, entrepreneurs, creative people, and people who are ready to make changes in their life and become better.
do you see what she's doing now? Passing the buck. That's not right. That is, I'll talk to you about that afterwards, okay? She knows all
I'm just
this
being
stuff.
respectful.
My my journey has been very, very long and very, I learned where I learned the most is from the children because
Right.
as an early childhood teacher and I should say parent educator, I have seen a lot of things that needed to be corrected at the early stage. Because if we
Right.
don't do anything at that stage, it becomes a big oak tree. And let's go back to the scriptures. It says, bend the tree when it is young. Because when you do, if you notice when you're growing something, right, in your garden, you can easily flip flop it when
Mhm.
it's young.
Yes.
When it starts getting older now, it's a little more difficult to root anything out from where it is sitting. And as it gets older, it becomes more the teenage years, that year, those years how they are, which I've dealt with too at the group home level. So
Yes.
it's the early childhood years and the group home years, and now the adult years, which I've decided to go back to the roots of things. So I've been
Right.
focusing on writing stories that parents can read to their children from the kindergarten age up, and they can also help themselves. This is a tool that I think God has sent me back to the cradle now because we've been having such a hard time that with the minds that's already set.
Mhm.
A set mind,
Mhm.
a mindset is a set mind. You can't bend it. When people decide that they're not going to do anything that you tell them to do, dismiss them because they're going to turn everything upside down. But with children, you are sort of in charge, not to intimidate them, as Miriam explained that the mind of the child is where we usually have to go back to as counselors and coaching and psychologists. We have to go back to the inner child,
Yes.
which is the foundation. And that's where God has sent me back to start writing grandma's kindergarten stories,
Yes.
foundation stories, to teach the parents now how to start sowing good seeds. So we start at the root and you pull up all the weeds, which is the kind of toxic mentality that children find that they're seeing that parents don't even know what they're seeing and what they say in their presence, how it's impacting on the decisions that they're also making in their classrooms. And we saw a lot of that in the early childhood programs.
Mhm.
And this is where all the things, if you have to correct their gaits, if you have to correct their whatever you do, that's where you get started. The fine motor skills, the gross motor skills, all the skills for development of the child, it's found there. And as early childhood educators, we had to see if there are any areas in the cognitive development that needs to be corrected, like speech therapy, hearing,
Yeah.
whatever it is that may be an impediment for them. That's where we get started. So the soil has to be fertile. If
Mhm.
we're not sowing in the fertile ground, can you imagine? We saw everything. We saw children coming from homes that's been broken, homes that's been functional, and all these things that we had to observe and decide at that point how to deal with it. Now, when you get to the older group of people, which is, well, not your age group, Miss Merita, but the older people, I don't like them. I'm sorry. If anyone is offended, please don't be, because it's reality. We
Talking
have
your
to deal with
mindset
it.
here.
Have to deal with it, you know. Miriam and I, we're perfect.
What did you like about us?
Because we
That's
get,
because we don't age at all. We have accepted agelessness at a very early time.
we've decided that, you know, coming, we have to, we have to also walk ourselves through all these things every day. If we don't kill somebody before we get finished with them, we have to come and forgive ourselves and start to give ourselves our own therapy.
Yeah.
So it's not that people don't have problems, but it's what you do with the problems that's going to either make it better or make it worse.
Yes.
And this is why the Bible speaks to us about, you know, correction is good. When you're being corrected, if you do something, make sure you take responsibility for it. Older people don't know how to do that, and they do that to the children, and the children are saying, okay, if mommy and daddy are doing that, that means it's okay, so we can do it too. So when they hear the parents yelling and screaming and everything, that's the image that they're taking to their classroom.
Right. Okay, good.
And then you know who get blamed? The parents, because the teachers don't even know where they're picking up some swear words and carrying on. Parents need to be very cognizant of what they do around children, because we are the mirrors that they look at.
Mhm.
And when we don't correct it, that's why Proverbs speaks to us about a fool despises correction.
Mhm.
So when we as adults do something in the presence of the children and we don't say, I'm sorry, you know, we were not, my grandchildren sometimes they're around me and we have fun. But you see, when they start getting nonsensical and I'm not, and like I'm at my wits' end, I start yelling. But then I catch myself, oh my God. I said, I am so sorry. Grandma's not supposed to do that. That's not right.
Yes.
And I correct myself in their presence.
Yes.
And whenever they do anything, I compliment them. But there are lots and lots and lots of parents who don't have the skills because they never learned it.
Mhm.
And if you never learned the skills, I have to be thankful to God when I reflect on my background that I came from. And also, this is why Miriam and I can understand each other so well. We had a healthy, normal life. Of course, we got some good little spanking, and it was, but it was not criminally intended. You know, we don't use a machete or anything. But we used to be corrected. And what I loved most about my mom, because she was a teacher, she taught us a lot of nursery rhymes and little songs she would sing to us before we go off to bed, and stories. We
Mhm.
would not go to bed without a bedtime story or an Anansi story or something that the old people kept for themselves, you know? And we thought they were talking about foolish things to us because we didn't understand. It's now, as Corinthians chapter 13 says, now I'm old. I
Mhm.
become older. I understand what they were talking about because I see clearer now.
Mhm.
So the script, I don't care what anybody says, the holy books has already positioned us to favor the principles that's already been in place and the laws that's already been in place, put there by our divine creator. And if we follow those laws, you cannot spit in the sky and it doesn't fall in your face. I used to wonder, what are these people talking about as a child? and whatever you sow, you reap. These are valid information for us to pass on to our children, all those principles. And this is what Dr. J is doing, writing stories that will generate that kind of energy in our children. So this is where Miriam and myself, that's where we're working on delivering tools for
Yes.
parents to work on themselves. Even reading those stories will help them to see where they went wrong with
Yes.
their own lives
Yes.
and to see how they can transform their way of thinking into a higher level of consciousness, attaching
Wow.
everything to once you attach yourself to the mind of God, you can't go wrong because He's always speaking to us through our spirit.
Mhm.
Oh well, I better come down. I'm coming down. I'm coming down. I get very
It's the
emotional.
passion. It's a passion. It's okay.
But Dr. Jennifer, when you talk about working on children, writing their books, you are trying to bring out that innocence, that authenticity from a
Mhm.
child's mind. And that's what
Yes.
you want. But that is, as we grow for some reason, that authenticity disappears. I don't know. God knows why it goes. Why? Because maybe of our daily
Yeah.
life
Yes.
activities, the
Our
worldliness,
interaction with the world.
Yeah, we're
that
too
sense.
distracted. We're very distracted and disconnected from the
Yeah,
real way of living, how we should live a normal, healthy life. There's too much, and we have the media. The media is now like a parent. It
Mhm.
instructs,
yeah,
even the adults are so caught up in these soap operas and all the things, and then they start living out of reality.
Mhm.
They start seeing things that they want a big house that they can't afford. They want a big car to go to show off on each other. But the guys who are in control through the media are dictating to us all their lifestyles.
Yeah.
And we want to live the rap artists and all these guys, poor guys, they really fall prey to this thing. And when they make the money, the big guys are still going to come and take it from them anyway, because we don't spend in our own community. So, what about that? The
Mhm.
mindset is now so warped and twisted that it cannot contain any thought of thinking for themselves. A lot of our people cannot think for themselves because they wait on the media. As soon as the media says something, don't speak to this person. This person is hater. This person, then we shut down and we just run with what the media says. And this is what is getting us into a situation now where God has to step in and show Himself personally to us by whatever means necessary at this point in time, because we are totally lost. Everybody's running towards, just as the scripture says, we don't know where to
yeah,
run to.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's helter skelter and people bumping into each other while they're running.
Yes.
So, this is what I'm talking about. A child's mind is so innocent. That's why we go back to the inner child when we counsel.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's where what did Jesus Christ said, a little child shall lead them. Why would he say that? And
But
suffer
it's so
the
scary.
children to come unto me.
Yeah, it is
Now
so
I'm not
scary.
even trying. I'm not even trying to preach right now because people are in church.
No, it's not about preaching. But Dr. Jennifer, how do we
Mm.
keep our mind not distracted? Because it's very healthy what you're saying, keeping our mind very safe, living the life that we should live with avoiding that distraction. How trying to activate that innocence in children and that authenticity. Also,
Yes,
parents have that time to read the books for their children. At the same time,
yes,
they are learning from
yes,
those stories, which
yes.
also takes them back to those days when
To
they were
their
young,
childhood. Yes.
to their
To,
childhood.
to the inner
Yeah,
child. Yes, 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 yes.
inner child. And that's a very beautiful thing. We all need that. But
Yes.
again, you being, yeah, a Christian or whoever, any religion,
Yes.
we hope that, in the religion or church or mosque, it
It's
depends on where
it's the
people believe
principles,
from.
the principles. Those are the
Yeah,
things that's rooted in the religion are the
yeah,
principles and the laws that governs
right.
our functioning, you know? So it's so important because children learn everything. Unfortunately, they learn everything from parents who do not know how they're impacting on the children and how it's going to affect them right through their life's journey. So this is where we come in with the transformation platform
Mm-hmm.
because we also can do that for ourselves. You know, we need to be able to raise our children when we know how to do so, because those who do not know, we cannot really blame them because somewhere along the line they learned all these things that they're teaching their children. So
That's
it's like
right.
a continuous, it's a
Yeah.
generational thing and becomes a generational curse.
Yes.
Because you
Right.
see the art of forgiveness, when we learn that part of life, and that's what I'm writing in the books about forgiveness, sowing seeds of forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
because when we cannot let go of things that's happened in your childhood or in your life, you take it into your relationships. And
Yeah.
then you want, why is this relationship not going? Because you're taking yourself into that relationship with another person who might be coming from a different background. And that's where the conflict, where you cannot be unequally yoked, because that's exactly what is happening today. So the line is circled does not just deal with women. The important thing is that if it's the family, it's a male and a female.
Yeah.
This is where society errs in the process of the family. Now we got all kind of families going on up in here. You see, you have your dysfunctional families. You have your one parent, and then you can't mention names anymore. You can't say he or she or whatever. So all of this, these complying to different norms and everything is wrecking the planet. So we got to hang on to the principles that we know so we can pass them down to our generation as a wealth, as a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important for our, even our African family, especially because no matter how you cut it, every other race is benefiting from the condition that we're in. So how are we going to fix that? How are we going to fix it?
Yeah.
And to
I
think
love
that,
that.
and to think about our African family and our Africanness. No matter where in the globe you go, we cannot be anything other than African. We cannot be Indian or Chinese or Caucasian. So we have to make sure we are covering those areas in our family so they can know this is the way to go when you need to transform,
Mm-hmm.
connect to the mind of God. That's where we need to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's where everything got started, right? The Garden of Eden, which is a mindset.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is a
Yeah.
mindset.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Miriam, do you want to add something on that?
Yes, she should. She should right now.
Oh, so I'm thinking in terms of the mindset and why I felt that it was necessary for me to introduce the concept of transformation from the four pillars. And the
Yes,
four pillars are our spiritual
first
nature,
and foremost.
our physical nature, our mental nature, and our emotional nature.
Mhm, mhm.
And in I I remembered where that came from when I asked my grandfather, who is God? And he simply looked at me and said, God is the highest form of energy. And you are also energy. And everything is energy. And I asked him, so if God is the highest form of energy, how do I reach him? And he said, you don't have to. You are already part of that energy. So that was very transformational for me, because the way I had been taught was, in order to be the best of myself, then I would have to do certain things. I would have to attend classes here at the church or the
Yes.
synagogue, or the I have all these religions in my family anyway. And
Same here. Yeah.
so I'm now exploring, okay, so if this is all about energy, then energy, is that the same as spirit? Yes, it's spirit. That is, we are. And Deepak Chopra, who is a metaphysical teacher, he said a very beautiful phrase. He said, we are first spirit. We're all spirit having a human
Human
experience.
experience.
And that for me really helped. And I heard that phrase when I was in my teens, and I thought, aha, that's it. So what I need to do then is really to make sure that I'm connected spiritually. And this does not have to do with what church or synagogue or mosque I attend. This has to do with my soul. The Greek word for soul is psyche. And so we have the scientific and the medical establishments talking of the psyche. And when Dr. Jennifer and I are talking about
We're breaking up.
transformation, we are talking about healing the psyche.
Are you here? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
I didn't get that.
Okay.
You were broken.
Okay. I was saying with the lioness circle, when we're talking of helping to heal the souls and help people to heal themselves, we're talking about the psyche, and the psyche is equal to the soul. All right. So whichever way we look at it, we have been, we have a psychic mapping that has happened in us from, and you said also, Sister Emertha, what happens with the child? We have this child, we have, we are these children, and so innocent and vibrant, and then something happens. And yes, the world happens, and life happens, and experience
And shit
happens.
happens.
And, and this all then starts forming the way that we perceive the world. So my exploration then from young was, why do I have a different perception from this person, but am I still able to love this person even though they have a different perception from me? And that's what led me into really studying, what does it take to communicate to someone and to really help the person be calm, help the person feel better. And I discovered that I am an empath. And the reason I say that is because I always felt that when I was in a room with people, I could feel pain. Yeah. I would feel tension. I would feel when someone arrived in the room and a vibration came into the room. And I would say again to my grandfather, he was the only one who understood me because I was a very mischievous child, but he had a lot of patience with
No
me. And
kidding.
I would say to him, why do I feel that? And he said, it just means that you are very sensitive and you are feeling energy. This is all
Mhm.
about energy.
Yes.
So coming back all to this energy thing, then I felt, okay, that's what I have to study. I have to study about energy and
Same here.
take it out of the framework of just science or
Mhm.
physics. You know, and the child, and the children look at us and they smile. When we smile, that's an energy that they feel. And that's what I went into study and started looking at what are the techniques and tools then that I can use to explain to someone outside of the framework of the establishment. Because
Mhm.
as we talk now, we are at a point in time where our established learnings and teachings, our established belief systems and value systems are in question. Okay, because we were told certain truths that were not truths. They were manufactured. They were used to manipulate the masses of people so that we can form nations and countries and religions and so forth that actually divided us all. So my path began then, and my path continued when I decided I'm going to visit every country in the world.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
want to see if everybody I meet in different settings, if I have any communication with them. And that's what I did. I didn't get to every country in the world, but I was able to travel for a long period of time, for, over 20-year period. And that
So,
just
so
solidified. Mhm.
you say that you went to school to study about energy. Was that some sort of physics? What kind of energy did you study exactly?
Well, I started to study about really the spiritual, the spirit, our spiritual nature, and that
Right.
our spiritual nature is what we're born with, and our spiritual nature is actually a vibration. Okay, because energy is all about vibration. And
That's
so
right.
that led me to, I was also very fascinated with the family, because I would see within the family, the happy times, and I would see the tough times and the times when there was discord and I couldn't understand it. So this again was attached to energy. Why are some people able to inspire and other people I don't really want to be around as much? It doesn't mean I didn't love them. I just wasn't able to
Can't
take
go
the
around
energy.
them.
So what I started studying then was behavior. And
Mhm.
I
Yes.
studied the psychology. I was not very happy with it because I felt that there was a lot of mathematical and statistical equations that I felt that were not true for everyone. I felt that this was very European based. Like we have the IQ tests, which, and so forth. So I said, no, I have to study other forms now. So then I thought about, okay, just like you have different forms of medicine, we have Western medicine, but we also have Chinese traditional medicine, and we have African traditional medicine, and we have Indian traditional medicine, and so forth. Then I'm going to study different forms of how to deal with the mind and behavior. And so I
Right.
started studying some very modern therapies, the cognitive behavioral therapy. And the cognitive behavioral therapy for me was really to help to identify within myself what I wanted to change, what were the issues. And if I could identify those issues, then next I would need a tool or a technique to deal with those issues. So the cognitive behavioral therapy helped me to identify issues. And then from there, I went into something called the neuro-linguistic programming, and the NLP was based and is based on the fact that if someone else has achieved perfection or a very high standard of doing something or being, then you can do that too. We can all do that.
Yes.
Isn't that what Yeshua taught us?
Yes.
Isn't that? Okay.
Unlimited
I am here to show you that if you want to be perfect, you can, because I'm here and I'm doing this.
Oh,
Right?
that's amazing. That's amazing because we all need that, don't we? We all need to make a difference, to change things in our lives, you
Exactly.
know?
Mhm.
So,
Yes.
you mentioned that you learned all those tools. So, how are you using them and how do you help people?
Well, I continue to use them in private sessions. The other tool that I use is hypnotherapy. And the reason for hypnotherapy, because it is one of the most natural forms of therapy that we use every day, and we don't realize it.
Mhm.
And for us to even go to sleep, we have to hypnotize ourselves. And
Right.
actually, hypnotherapy, when it was discovered by the Western world, it's been used throughout with indigenous people always, and continues to. It was used actually in a medical way to help people undergo surgery, to hypnotize yourself so that you don't feel the pain of surgery. And it was used for a century at least, until they discovered the drugs. They could extract certain substances, and then that's how it went out. And then it was really squashed by the religions, because actually the people who were in charge of the religions, they used it, but they didn't want anyone else to use it, because
Oh yeah.
they needed
Oh yeah.
everyone to feel as though they were the ones that could do that to them. And my mission has always been to let people know, you are the ones that can heal yourself. We are the
Yes.
ones that choose to heal ourselves. We have the power to heal ourselves, and therefore don't give away that power to anyone. So the
Right.
hypnotherapy, and so that's the three bases of the therapies. But then I was very lucky to be born into a world where a lot of discovery was happening with the brain and the elasticity of the brain. And so then we had the brainwave entrainment that came in, and I was overjoyed, because this now I had a plethora of tools and techniques from these four areas to be able to work with folks and pass on the knowledge. I did that by just really embedding myself into different situations. As an activist since the 70s, I had to transform myself from being too emotionally connected,
Yeah.
so that I would not be able to control my feelings. In spite
Right.
of, if I said something that was controversial, how could I control myself not to overreact or underreact and so forth, or react in a negative way? I wanted to always be part of the solution, not the problems. And then
Right.
moving into working with young women who were, had been criminalized, and how to help them, how to remove them from a system that was actually going to make them even more criminalized, but to remove them. So I worked with different organizations that did that, removed and housed young women and women who had gone through a lot of trauma, and then going into now doing a lot of personal counseling and so forth. And like Dr. Jennifer, we're writing. So
Yes.
putting together these experiences from my life of,
Mhm.
when I had been traumatized at certain points in my life, remembering, recognizing that's what you did. Okay, first you identified the trauma, its effect on you, and now you're going to have to move past that pain, and you're going to have to hypnotize yourself to get yourself into the right energy to do that.
Wow. Wow. I love that. I love that. I think we don't have enough time, but I definitely would like to have you back
Yes.
because I
Thank
think
you.
there's enough. There's a lot to explain about that.
Yes,
So
it is.
it's so
It's and
interesting realizing that you have your power within you, but
that's right.
Yes.
some, most of the time we don't know what we have,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
we try somewhere else when you actually understanding that our body can actually heal themselves.
That's
So
Right.
that's another thing that very important people need to know. So
yes.
again,
Yes.
yeah, there's a lot really to share. Maybe it's
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you
So
so much.
you first worked on yourself.
Yes.
You first
Yes,
worked on
Yes.
yourself.
absolutely.
First and
Yes.
foremost,
That's
yes.
right.
Yeah,
That's what we
to
do.
control your emotions, to know that you want to be part of the solutions, not part of the problems. So having
Yes.
worked on yourself, then you are able to transfer that to others, which is a
Exactly.
very beautiful. So now you're working with Dr. Jenny, writing a book again. So what
Yes.
a book! What are the titles? Is it one book or
Okay.
many books that you put
No, it's
together?
a series. We
It's
will
a
keep you informed.
Okay.
We will keep you informed.
yes, we'll keep you informed. I sent my first draft to Dr. Jennifer, and she said to me, "This is not one book; it's 5 books. Go rewrite it." I said, "Okay, yes, yes."
So we have series of writings.
So
Yes.
yes, it's a
Right.
series, and that's what we're working on right now. We're really
On our
taking
web
advantage
page.
of
The
this
web
time
page.
that everything's going online, and to
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
do it ourselves. So we're putting together the web pages. We're putting the programs online. You know, I've got programs. 12 weeks to self transformation,
Right,
12
right,
weeks
right.
to transforming your energy, and so forth.
Mhm.
So all of this gets to go online, and then people can choose what they want to to um,
To
to
work
take
on.
and to work with, and stepping forward and saying, yes, I'm going to be brave and bold and get to know myself and to
Mhm.
unite with my soul, and therefore transform my energy and connect to God's mind.
That's what we're talking about.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah. I would definitely love to have you back because this is so
We'll
interesting.
be happy. Thank you so much. We're very
Yes.
indebted to you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you very much
inviting us.
for inviting us.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really an honor having you two here, and I hope to see you next time.
Yes.
So this is very informative and empowering. Connecting to God's mind, connecting our spirit
Yes.
to God's spirit, and
Yep.
discovering the inner power and strength within us.
That's right.
So it's a beautiful thing, and I really appreciate that you accepted my invitation.
Thank
So
you.
I hope to see you soon. Stay
Yes.
blessed.
Thank you. Stay blessed. Thank you very
You
much.
give we give the thanks to our divine creator. That's who
Always.
caused us to be sitting here talking like this to you because his mind is already placed in us.
Yes,
Amen.
absolutely. The connection has happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not by accident. Divine intervention.
Yes.
Intervention. Yes.
Thank you,
So
sister.
you have a
Okay.
lovely evening.
Thank you.
You
You
too,
are.
my love. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All
Okay, bye.
righty.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.